Hello, Moto.
Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today we have another budget phone called the Moto G5 Plus, and this phone offers a lot of value for its price. You can actually buy this phone for as low as $185, so very cheap. Before we go any further, can you help me get this video to 500 likes? Only 500? Unlike all the other Moto G devices that we had in the past, this one is actually made out of metal, and I believe that they did this so the phone looks and feels more premium. However, in my opinion, the phone doesn't look that good. As for the size, I do believe that the phone is quite large for a phone that has a 5.2 inches screen, but that's because of the large bezels around the screen. However, you can still hold this phone in one hand, so it's not a big problem. For specifications, we have the Snapdragon 625 CPU. You can get this phone with either 2 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM. You can also get this phone with 32 gigs of internal storage or 64 gigs of internal storage, and both versions run Android 7. As I mentioned before, the back of the phone is made out of metal, so we have a secondary microphone. We also have a 12 megapixel camera sensor, the dual tone flash, and their logo. What I don't like about the back is how the camera sticks out. Maybe it's just me, but I definitely don't like how the camera looks on this device. The phone's frame is also made out of metal, and this is basically a continuation of the back. So on the right hand side we have the power button and the volume keys, and of course these ones are also made out of metal, and on top we have the slot for the SIM card. The phone can take a nano SIM and a SD card, and since we are talking about SD cards, and of course we have Android 7 running on this device, you can easily install an SD card as internal storage. As for the internal storage, the phone has about 25 gigs left, but the speeds that I got for the internal storage are among the best that I've seen for any smartphone. And lastly, all the way at the bottom you're gonna find a 3.5mm audio jack, a microphone, and a micro USB charging port. This phone also supports OTG, so you're gonna be able to plug in any USB stick and the phone will be able to read whatever you have on that USB stick. On top of that, the phone even supports fast charging, so charging the phone from 0 to 100 it's done in about 2 hours and 10 minutes. We also have a 3000 mAh non-removable battery inside this phone, but you will easily make it through a day and a half on one charge. Of course, this will depend from user to user, but me personally, I was able to make it through an entire day without any issues. The front of the phone looks much better than the back, at least in my opinion. Now, the first thing you're gonna notice is the fact that we don't have a notification light. However, the phone has that feature that turns on the screen whenever you actually pick up the phone, so we don't really need the notification light. Now we have a speaker right there, that's the earpiece and the actual speaker of the phone, and even though the speaker doesn't get that loud, at least it's pointed towards you. And next to the speaker we have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. The picture quality from that front-facing camera, well, it's about average, so if you have a lot of light, the pictures will turn out nice, will have a lot of detail in them. However, if it gets dark, well, the pictures don't look that great. And these are a couple of examples of pictures that I took with the front-facing camera. And next I want to show you a quick sample of how the speaker sounds. The 5.2 inches screen has a resolution of 1080p. The colors do look nice and vibrant and the viewing angles are pretty good. However, the screen doesn't seem to get that bright, so whenever you go outside, well, you're gonna have trouble seeing the screen. And there is also a lot of glare and reflection happening on the screen whenever you're outside. I found that the screen sensitivity is above average, so you can touch the screen in 10 places in the same time and the screen will register. I haven't had any issues whenever I was typing or playing games or basically anything in between. On top of that, the screen also seems to be covered by some type of scratch resistant glass, and of course I tried to scratch the screen and it doesn't seem to get scratched that easily. And moving all the way at the bottom of the phone, well, we have one button there, so we don't have a return key or a multitasking key, but we have one button. This is also a fingerprint scanner. As a fingerprint scanner, it works 10 out of 10 times and it is very quick, so all you have to do is touch the fingerprint scanner whenever the phone is off and the screen will unlock. Now, there is more to this button than just that fingerprint scanner. So this button can actually fill gestures. So if you swipe left, for example, it's going to open the multitasking. If you swipe right, it's going to be a back button. If you hold that button pressed for a couple of seconds, it's going to actually turn off and lock the phone. So it definitely has a lot of gestures built in that button. However, if you're not comfortable with that, you can bring up those soft keys so you can turn those on or off from the phone software. And since we are talking about gestures, well, this phone has a lot of gestures available. So a quick double twist will turn on the camera app, and I guess that's the most useful one. And you can even do something like this, and the flash will come on. So do that once again and it will be off. So a whole bunch of gestures available. Performance-wise, even though we don't get the highest scores on the AnTuTu benchmark and the Geekbench 4, the phone performs extremely well. So for example, if you're gonna be using Chrome, scrolling up, scrolling down, zooming in, zooming out works extremely good, and just as good as it would work on a phone that costs like 4 times more. If you're planning to watch YouTube videos, the maximum resolution on YouTube it's 1080p. However, all the videos that I tried watching work extremely smooth. As for gaming, I'm very sure that you can play any game available in the Google Play Store. I played GTA San Andreas at the maximum settings, and as you can probably tell, it does work very well. The GPS unit inside this phone is also very quick, so it only takes a couple of seconds for the phone to connect the satellites, and of course using any navigation app like Google Maps works without any issues. As for sensors, we do have a lot of sensors available, so if you're looking for a phone that has a lot of sensors including a gyroscope, this is a great one for that. For call quality, the speaker on top here gets quite loud and everyone is able to hear me without any issues. As for connectivity, we have 4G connectivity, so the phone can connect to LTE networks, and we also have dual band Wi-Fi. The speeds that I got over the 4G networks and the dual band Wi-Fi are appropriate. The Moto G5 Plus, it's using Android 7 and the UI reminds me a lot of the Google Pixel. So for example, if you want to open the app drawer, you're just going to have to swipe up. Scrolling in between screens, opening new apps, closing apps, and even multitasking works extremely good without any problems. So this is basically just like stock Android but with a few added features, and the added features that we have are actually useful because a lot of budget phones don't really have useful features. So for example, from multitasking you can easily open the split screen view and a whole bunch of other small features that are very useful. On the back of the phone we have a 12 megapixel camera with the f1.7. I was actually expecting that the phone would take great pictures in low light conditions. Well, that's not the case. However, this camera can record in 4K, and here is a sample of a 4K recording done with this phone. This is a quick recording with the Moto G5 Plus in 4K. This device doesn't have optical image stabilization, so you're probably gonna see that the footage is quite shaky. Even though the camera app looks quite simple, it packs a lot of features. So first of all, we have a manual mode. So if you like tweaking the camera and taking those awesome looking pictures, so you can definitely do that with this. We also have an HDR mode. However, I didn't find a big difference whenever using the HDR mode and whenever I wasn't actually using it. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't have optical image stabilization, so no settings in there to turn that on, and that is a bit unfortunate. However, the camera app, it's very quick, so you can definitely take pictures very fast in any conditions. As for the picture quality, well, the pictures that you're seeing right now are actually taken with this device. Well, in my opinion, most of the pictures that I took outside in daylight were a bit overexposed, and the HDR mode was on auto. So a lot of pictures turn out a bit overexposed, and I'm not sure why. As for low light condition pictures, well, as soon as you move and shake the camera a bit, well, the pictures turn out kind of blurry. So if you don't have like a tripod or something like that, the pictures won't look the best in low light conditions. And it's time to conclude this video. So I love the fact that this phone's UI looks very close to stock Android. It makes the phone much faster and much more enjoyable to actually use. The only downside that I found to this phone, it's the way it looks, because it doesn't look the best. Yeah, it is quite ugly in fact. And the camera performance. I wasn't happy with the camera performance, but hopefully a future software update can fix that, because overall we have a 12 megapixel sensor with the f1.7, so it should definitely do better than that. But other than that, the phone, it's awesome. It works good, it's fast, the battery life, it's great, and pretty much everything is good about this phone, including the price, aside from the shape, because it looks horrible. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.